You don't get rich by chance. You don't become abundant by accident. And you don't attract wealth with the same mind that's been conditioned to survive. There is a war taking place, not outside you, but within. A quiet, unseen battle between the life you've been living and the life you were meant to live. And in this war, your mindset is either your weapon or your weakness. The truth most people avoid is this: wealth is not something you chase. It is something you align with. You were not born to struggle, to scrape by, to exist in a cycle of worry and waiting. But if that's become your default, it's because your mindset has been trained to expect it. You've been taught limitations disguised as logic. You've inherited beliefs dressed up as facts. And the most dangerous part? You didn't question them. Most people never do. You were told things like, be realistic, money doesn't grow on trees, just be grateful you have a job, and slowly, without even noticing, you built a mental framework designed not to grow but to survive. That's why you find yourself stuck. Not because you're lazy, not because you lack talent, but because you're trying to build a wealthy life on a mindset shaped by lack. And that is impossible. The mind is the soil of your life. What you plant in it grows. What you believe, you become. What you expect, you attract. So if your thoughts are rooted in scarcity, no amount of effort will produce abundance. You'll work twice as hard for half the reward. You'll burn out chasing a dream your mind has already rejected as too much or not for someone like me. Understand this: the universe doesn't give you what you want. It responds to who you are. So if you want wealth, but your inner identity still reflects struggle, you'll always find yourself falling short. Why? Because your mindset sets the ceiling. And until you raise it, until you change the internal thermostat, you will keep sabotaging your own rise. The secret the wealthy know, the truth hidden in plain sight, is that money is not just physical. It's not just dollars in a bank. Money is energy. Wealth is frequency. And mindset is the tuner. If you're not tuned to the frequency of prosperity, all you'll ever hear is static. Confusion. Frustration. You'll see others win and think, what's wrong with me, when the real question is, what am I still believing that's holding me here? Let that question sink in. Because here's where transformation begins, with brutal honesty. With the courage to face the fact that your results are not random. They are the reflection of your deepest identity. You don't get what you want, you get what you're prepared to receive. And that preparation starts in your mind. You want wealth? Then stop speaking lack. Stop thinking like someone who has no power. Stop making decisions from a place of fear, and start asking yourself, what would the wealthy version of me believe right now? How would they speak? Walk? Choose? Move? Because until your thoughts and beliefs align with abundance, your life never will. Most people are waiting for evidence before they believe. But the secret? The wealthy believe first. They see it in their mind long before it ever shows up in the physical. That's not delusion. That's creation. That's how the laws of this universe work. You must become the person who already has before you ever get to hold. You must think like wealth. Speak like wealth. Act like wealth. Even when your bank account hasn't caught up, especially when it hasn't. Because the real transformation happens in the dark. In the invisible. In the realm of mindset where no one can see the work but you. Where no one claps, and no one rewards you, but you keep going because you know deep in your spirit that you are no longer available for the old story. That's the shift. That's the moment you begin to align. Now let's be clear. This is not about pretending you're rich when you're not. It's about embodying the mindset of someone who knows that wealth is not outside them, it's within them. It's about operating from a higher level of belief, where your current circumstances are just temporary scenes, not your permanent identity. It's about burning the old script. The one that said you had to wait. The one that said you weren't enough. The one that said success was for them, not for you. Because the moment you question that script is the moment you take your power back. And here's the deeper truth most don't realize: the beliefs running your life weren't even yours to begin with. They were programmed into you by parents who struggled, by teachers who settled, by a society that benefits when you stay small. But just because you were given that programming doesn't mean you have to keep running it. You are not a victim of your past. You are the architect of your future. And architects don't wait for permission, they design. They decide. They draw new blueprints. And that's exactly what your mindset must become: a new design, a new standard, a new way of being that no longer tolerates anything less than abundance. So let me ask you, what do you really believe about wealth? Not what you say you believe. What you actually believe deep in your nervous system when no one's watching. Do you believe it's hard to get? That there's not enough to go around? That people who have it are greedy or lucky or dishonest? Because if that's what you believe, your mind will block you from receiving. Every time you move toward wealth, your subconscious will pull you back, because it sees wealth as dangerous, or wrong, or impossible for someone like you. That's the inner war. And if you don't win it, no strategy will save you. Mindset is not a surface game. It's not about saying a few affirmations and hoping for the best. It's about rewiring your internal identity until abundance becomes your new default. Until you walk into a room and no longer hope for prosperity, you expect it. You embody it. You radiate it so strongly that opportunities can't help but find you, because you've become a magnet for the very thing you used to chase. And let me tell you, that shift is real. It is sacred. And it is available to you. But only if you're willing to let go of who you've been. Only if you're willing to shed the identity of lack and step into the version of you who already knows they are enough. Not because of what they have, but because of who they are. You see, wealth doesn't show up when you need it. It shows up when you're ready. When you become the kind of person who no longer clings to limitation like a life raft, but who steps out onto the water and walks by faith. That's the shift most people never make, from desperation to expectation. From wishing to knowing. From asking, how will it happen, to declaring, it will happen because I am aligned with it. And that's where the power of vision comes in. Vision is more than a dream. It's more than a goal on a piece of paper. Vision is spiritual sight. It's the inner picture you hold so vividly, so unshakably, that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. Vision is what keeps you going when results haven't shown up yet. It's what keeps you moving when no one else understands. It's what separates those who rise from those who retreat. Because if you can't see it inside, you'll never hold it outside. That's why wealth begins in the unseen. It starts as a decision. A bold, unapologetic decision to no longer be ruled by fear or doubt. A choice to tune your mind to possibility, not probability. To act from your higher self, the one who knows you weren't made for average. But here's the truth no one likes to admit: vision without discipline is delusion. You can journal all day. You can speak affirmations into the mirror until your voice goes hoarse. But if your habits don't match your vision, if your daily actions still reflect fear, laziness, or indecision, your vision is nothing but fantasy. Because wealth is not built in the big moments. It's built in the ordinary. In the early hours when no one's watching. In the silence where your old patterns beg you to stay the same. In the daily decisions that say, I am no longer that person. I am becoming someone greater. Discipline is love in action. It's faith made practical. It's saying, I believe in my future so much, I'm willing to let go of the comfort that's keeping me small. And when you move like that, consistently, relentlessly, with your heart anchored in purpose, things begin to change. Not just outside, but within. You start trusting yourself. You start hearing your own voice over the noise. You stop negotiating with fear, and you start obeying vision. This is the place where mindset becomes movement. Where belief turns into boldness. Where you no longer need motivation, because you've become disciplined by purpose. And purpose? That's the fuel the world can't take from you. It's deeper than a paycheck. Bigger than a brand. Stronger than any storm. Purpose is the reason your spirit won't sit still. It's why you've always known, even in your lowest moments, that you were meant for more. It's why something inside you still fights, still dreams, still believes, even when everything around you says to give up. That's the voice of your future calling you. And let me be clear, the future is not a date on a calendar. It is a version of you fully realized, fully free, waiting on the other side of your next act of faith. But to get there, you must act. Because mindset without action is like having a treasure map and refusing to take a single step. Action is the bridge between belief and breakthrough. And action is not about perfection. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about movement. It's about doing the thing anyway, scared, unsure, imperfect, because you trust that every step forward builds a new identity. It's about saying yes to the unknown, because the known is killing you. It's about trusting that the same power that gave you the vision will also provide the provision once you move. You don't need all the answers. You need the decision. You need the willingness to walk by faith, not by sight. Because most people wait until they feel ready, and that day never comes. But the wealthy, the ones who change the game, they move before the feeling. They don't wait for clarity. They create it. And here's where the world shifts for you, when you combine mindset, vision, purpose, and action with the single most transformative force on earth, gratitude. Gratitude is the multiplier. It's the secret frequency that expands everything it touches. When you're truly grateful, not just in words, but in being, you signal to the universe, I trust the process. I believe it's already mine. I don't need to see it to celebrate it. Gratitude moves you from lack into abundance before the evidence shows up. It shifts your emotional state into receiving mode. It makes you magnetic to more, not because you're begging for it, but because you're already vibrating at the level of abundance. And the more you practice gratitude, the more you rewire your mind to see opportunity instead of limitation. To expect favor instead of fear. To recognize that every setback carries within it the seed of a greater setup. This is the mindset of wealth. Not just money in your hand, but peace in your heart. Not just success on paper, but alignment in your soul. And the truth is, life will test this mindset. You will face challenges. You will have moments where everything screams, go back. It's safer there. But you must understand a resistance is not rejection. Resistance is confirmation. It means you're growing. It means your old self is dying, and your true self is emerging. And that process is never comfortable, but it is worth it. So when the obstacles come, and they will, don't run. Don't retreat. Don't shrink. Rise. Remember who you are. Remember why you started. And above all, remember, you were not born to repeat. You were born to rebuild. You were born to become. You were born to become the highest, most unapologetic version of yourself, not the edited one that fits into society's mold, not the one who's been dimmed by fear and compromise, but the one who walks with unshakable clarity, unbreakable faith, and unstoppable vision. And to become that version, you must make peace with discomfort. Because transformation is not a clean process. It's messy. It's painful. It requires death, the death of old patterns, the death of victimhood, the death of the identity that was never yours to begin with. But from that death comes birth. A new you. A version forged in discipline, in resilience, in fire. You see, resilience is not about never falling. It's about how you rise. How you respond when everything in your life says, you can't. How you speak to yourself when no one else is cheering. It's what you do after the loss, after the rejection, after the disappointment. Because that's the moment the world sees what you're made of. Not in the glory, but in the grind. Not in the spotlight, but in the silence. It's in the silence where warriors are made. Where faith is tested. Where your mindset is no longer theory, but practice. When you get knocked down and still choose belief, that's wealth. When you face delay but don't detach from your vision, that's wealth. When your bank account doesn't match your worth, but you carry yourself like royalty anyway, that's wealth. And the more you live from that identity, the more you begin to see the outer world bend in shape to reflect it. Because reality doesn't create your mindset creates your reality. But understand this, the mind cannot hold what the soul does not believe it's worthy of. That's why the deeper work is not just in changing what you think. It's in healing how you see yourself. Because if you still believe you are less than, if you still carry shame, guilt, or unworthiness like invisible chains, no amount of hustle will free you. You must release. You must let go of the lies that were planted in your childhood. The opinions that were never your truth. The stories that were written by someone else's fear, not your future. You must remember that you were never meant to beg for anything. You are a child of divine intelligence, wired for abundance, crafted for greatness. That's not ego. That's alignment. That's walking in agreement with who you were created to be. And once you start walking in that knowing, not just intellectually, but emotionally, spiritually, then everything changes. You stop chasing. You start attracting. You stop trying to prove. You start embodying. You stop hustling from a place of fear. And you start building from a place of conviction. This is when wealth starts to find you, not because you're lucky, but because you're finally congruent. Finally operating on the frequency of your future instead of the trauma of your past. And when you operate from that space, from vision, belief, gratitude, and identity, you tap into a deeper flow. A divine rhythm. A current of abundance that was always available, but blocked by your own disbelief. And now, you learn to dance with it. You no longer grip life. You trust it. You no longer force doors open. You align with the ones that were always meant for you. You stop measuring your life by how fast things happen, and start measuring it by how fully you're becoming who you were designed to be. That's the real wealth. And from that state, money becomes a tool, not your master. It becomes an extension of who you are, not a replacement for what you lack. Because let me tell you this, wealth is not the goal. Alignment is. And when you align with purpose, with faith, with your highest truth, wealth becomes inevitable. It becomes the byproduct of who you've become, not the reason you exist. And here's the final secret, you never stop evolving. This mindset, this discipline, this vision, it's not a one-time decision. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily recommitment to rise above the noise, to hold the frequency, to speak life over your future even when doubt tries to whisper its lies. Because every single day, you are either reinforcing your old identity, or you are rehearsing your new one. And you get to choose. Every thought, every word, every action, it's either aligned with your wealth or your worry. Your faith or your fear. Your future or your past. So choose boldly. Choose consciously. Choose like your life depends on it, because it does. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to wait for permission. You are not here to live the same year 75 times and call it a life. You are here to rise. You are here to disrupt. You are here to expand the idea of what's possible, not just for you, but for everyone watching you become. Because that's the final truth no one tells you. Your wealth is not just about you. It's about the people you'll inspire. The lives you'll lift. The doors you'll open for those who never believed they had a key. Your wealth is an assignment. Your abundance is a legacy. Your mindset is a model for what is possible when someone dares to believe they were created for more. So rise up. Change the mindset. Match the wealth. Move like it's already done. Think like it's already yours. Speak like the gates have already opened, because they have. You don't need permission to be powerful. You don't need validation to walk in purpose. You only need the courage to become what's already inside you. So start now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's perfect. Not when you feel ready. Start now and don't stop.